Hello and welcome to another edition of In the Money Media, and Nahu Mikey P here, Mike Pribozie, Breeders' Crown Eliminations. We're back there again, and a fantastic panel here joining me to discuss these eliminations for Friday and Saturday this weekend at the Meadowlands Racetrack. Now, it's awesome that the Hambletonian Society and the Breeders' Crown sponsor these shows for us for the Breeders' Crown. So eliminations this weekend, finals next weekend. We have it all covered here with 5 experts, and that very, very much are into harness racing, right about harness racing, and certainly can pick winners in harness racing. So let's welcome him here. First, Thomas Svensen, our resident horseman, certainly very much tied into all the backside doings. Thomas, welcome. Always appreciate your perspective on these shows.
Thank you. Just a pleasure to be here. Love to talk horses and gambling 24/7. So I'm happy to spend the hour with you guys.
Right next to him, his debut for the Roundtable, and it's nice to have Nick Barnsdale here with us, writing for Harnesslink, definitely covering harness racing all across Canada. Nick, welcome.
Pleased to be on. Been watching the show quite a lot, and it's really cool to be here. I miss Ray not being here this week. I was looking forward to sparring with him, but I'm happy to be on with you fine people. So thank you.
Well, and I'm sure if everyone's wondering what's up with Ray, he had a wisdom tooth taken out today, so he's a little bit on the mend. I think he'll probably be back next week. Hopefully, he's all healed up. No dry sockets for Ray. We're gonna get him back for the finals. I'm sure that GB Garnet Barnsdale, you'd be happy to have Ray back, yeah?
Well, absolutely, because he's probably out of wisdom now, so he'd be an easy mark for us, I think.
Well, certainly, we had the show pegged for. We're going to try to stay under an hour and a half. We're going to do 10 races here to cover on this pod, but with Ray, that would certainly be probably a double if we had him in the mix. So, our last and certainly not least. Miss USTA herself, Cheyenne Christman, welcome to another roundtable. You've been frequenting more roundtables than me, I think.
I think this has got to be like the 3rd or 4th one I think I've been on. So I'm happy to be a part of it. And can't believe that stake season is almost over, but it's been a great ride. It's been a great summer. We've got to see a lot of great racing. So it's great to be here.
Record number of horses entered for this year's Breeders' Crown, and there's eliminations like crazy on Friday and Saturday. 20 races really, so we can't cover them all in this podcast. So I made an executive decision that said we're going to look at pick 4 for Friday. So that's 4 Breeders' Crown eliminations. We'll let you know what they are. Then we're going to look at pick 6 for Saturday. So plenty of good wagering. Now, this week, big thing here on Friday. Early post, daytime post here for this Friday card at Meadowlands. They're going to go, I think, 12:30 Eastern time for that early post for Friday. They're going to have some thoroughbred racing at Meadowlands on Friday night. So yeah, you want to go to the eliminations, you can get a double card there if you're interested in that. So we're going to look at the pick 4 for Friday, and then Saturday, a typical 6:20 post for another big card. We're going to look at the pick 6 for Saturday. We're going to get right into it here. Let's go to Friday, and race number 6 here on Friday is 2-year-old fillies on the trot. Perfect race to get Thomas started here. Thomas, 7 horses in here. Top 3 get to advance to the finals, and you have champagne problems getting the bye. How are we going to light the candle here?
It's a tough. I think all these horses can qualify to the final. The horse I am very high on, I've been high on her since I see her very early this year. It's our Duchess. She is the best horse. I think Jody going to be aggressive with her, and if she just behave, I think she have a good shot to win there. So another horse I've been high on is Sex Lady Landia. She struggled a little on the last turns. I was a little disappointed at her in Lexington because she got a soft half, in my opinion, 55-4 that day down there, and I expect her to win, but she got taken down by Spicy Nice, that I think is a good horse, not a great horse. So I was a little surprised how easy she gave up then. A Perfect Annie has been very, very, very good. It's going to be exciting to see how she comes to the Meadowlands surface compared to being down there in Kentucky all the time. For me, it is our judges. Behind her, it is Lady Landia, and in first, A Perfect Annie. But I wouldn't be surprised if all the others can take the last place to go to the final.
Yeah, definitely interested in A Perfect Annie there. Just, rail draw here, but the horse has had, some tough posts there. Raced very well in Kentucky, especially recently with those big kicks. This horse, I think, is certainly getting better. I mean, won that Kentucky Sire Stake at 29-1, backed it up with, another stake win right after that. Garnet, you into the one here, or you prefer somebody else?
I'm using the one for sure. I think she's getting good at the right time, obviously. And like you say, she goes from bad post to the rail, which it's not the best post that it used to be at the Meadowlands, but I think it's, still a good starting spot. I didn't have our Duchess on my ticket. I'm not really sure why, but I added her now because of what Thomas said. I took a second look, and that was a pretty impressive mile at Lexington there, 55-1, 122-4 to the 3/4, and she hung on. So she is definitely one of the best horses. But I think you also got to use the 4 Deja Blue. She's just been too good, right? 4 wins in a row, and then just got picked off in 152 flat. And the International Stallion, Nancy Tactor, has Deja Blue on the top of her game. And so I'm using 1, 4, and 7 to kick it off.
Nick, any sort of argumentative type things for your dad there?
No, I pretty much agree with him and Thomas. I've got 1, 4, and 7 on my ticket. I liked our Duchess too, and I was surprised my dad told me earlier I didn't have her. But yeah, she's been good at the right time, and she's been one of the better horses all year in this division. So yeah, I have no arguments.
Cheyenne, what found your eye here? These 2-year-old fillies sometimes can make mistakes in these trots.
Yeah, for sure. I think when it comes to handicapping, I think 2-year-old filly trotters are the hardest because they're kind of the wild card. You don't know when they're going to be solid or when they're going to misbehave. For me, I only went 2 deep here. I went with the 4 Deja Blue. She's just been very good, hit the board in 5 out of 7 starts. Not only that, you got to love that she's, the dam is Atlanta, the iconic Atlanta, of course. And you can just see that she's really following in her mother's footsteps here of just being a great horse. I also really liked our Duchess as well. That mile last week in Kentucky was just very good. That 152-1 held on very strong there. One horse I do find really interesting here is 12-1, but I really like Princess Jackie. Now I don't have the horse on my ticket per se, but has won 5, has been no worse than 3rd, and actually is a half sister to Magical Beliefs, who was a Grand Circuit winner, but also was runner-up in the 2018 PA Sire Stakes Championship. I think it'll be really interesting to see her and how she compares to these horses on a mile track due to the fact that she's been racing on a 5/8 for all of her career thus far. But for me, I really just went with the 4 Deja Blue and the 7 our Duchess.
And a reminder there, we're going to start this early pick for 50,000 guaranteed pool, 15% takeout. Should be I think a stellar pool despite this early post here. Hopefully people are aware and get involved in some of these multi-leg wagers. We're going to go to race number 7. And this is the 2-year-old filly Pacers here. Cheyenne, you were last with the last race. Let's start this race. Are you into Rose? Can't See Me? There's lots of different ways you can go here.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I do. I love Rose. For me, I went with Rose, but also another horse I did consider was Champagne Room. That mile, that was going against Looks Good and Lulu. That was a world record performance. And for her to finish 3rd against those tough mares, I thought was really impressive. So I went 2 deep here. I went with Rose. She's just been super all year long, has won 7 out of 8, has hit the board every single start. And then I threw in Champagne Room just to see, in case of something, you never know with these races, something crazy can happen, right? So I threw her in my numbers as well. Although you look at her and you're like, She hasn't won at all this year. Out of 7 starts, she's won 0 of them, but she has finished second and third consistently for 5 of those 7 starts. And I also love her dam. See you at the Peelers. I think she's just super talented. I think sometimes when it comes to these Breeders' Crowns, it's not who is the best horse all year, right? It's who is figuring it out at the right time. And I think Champagne Room is one of those horses that they're starting to figure it out at the right time, and the cards might play out for her. So for me, I just went too deep here. I went with Rose and Champagne Room.
Garnet, elimination racing here. Top 5 advance in an 8-horse race. Tell me, are you interested in the 6th, the Last Martini? Gets away from Chantilly, who would be quite, I think, chalky versus these.
Not so much. I mean, I think for me, Rose just looks dominant. The only race that she lost was at Pocono in her second start, and she sat pocketed in a really slow pace, 126 to the 3/4, and they come home in 152 and 2. I mean, would I be shocked if the Last Martini pulled off a mild upset here? Probably not, but you got to single somewhere. I singled Rose, and I'm always good for some kind of oddball trivia, so I'm going to ask because I just looked this up. How many horses do you think named Rose have been in existence since the beginning of time? Just with the name Rose.
10, maybe?
Oh,
15.
10. He got it. He got it for one guess. That's incredible. So I'm single to Rose, and Mike, you win a prize. I'm not sure what it is yet.
Nick, anything, you're going to go chalky here? You think that maybe with the elimination that Rose might save something for next week, or is he just the beat goes on here?
That's always in the back of my mind. But I agree with my dad, unfortunately, again. I don't have any cool trivia like he does. But I think she can have a little bit left and still quite easily win this elim. Drawing the 2-hole, I have to imagine she's just going to go to the front. Even if she sits the pocket, I think she's going to be the best horse to win the race. So, like my dad said, you got to single somewhere. I'm going with Rose as well.
So, Thomas, I know that you prefer the Scandinavian way for these elimination racing. The system they have over there. We've talked about this many times on our Swedish shows, but the fact that the top 5 advance here, I mean, who's emptying the tank really?
It's just. If this was a race overseas or in Europe, there would be a non-betting race because you only race for the winner. It doesn't matter if you're second, third, fourth, or fifth. So this is with Yannick or on a Burke horse. It's going to be the lead. The other ones, you're just going to protect positions, try to save horse. It's going to be a 56 on a piece to the half, and Yannick wins with 4, jogging home. So it's just it's not there is no guys who gonna try to beat Rose. So is Rose the best horse? Yeah, she is, but she's maybe going to be 1-9. So maybe there's value to go against her. But Yannick in the elimination, we discussed that before. Mike, he wins the elimination because he is aggressive and he got respect. And it's just going to be a boring race.
That is true. I mean, we have talked about that also with Yannick. He does attempt to win races. He likes to win eliminations. He's live with his horses in these spots, and that does absolutely make a difference. And like Thomas said, and pretty much everyone has echoed that Rose is going to be very tough in there, 7 for 8. But we've seen in these Breeders' Crowns before, especially whenever these horses get to the final. Sometimes, like the Geocentrics last year and things like that. Some of these horses that have been dominating all year can go down in the final. So remains to be seen what happens there. Race number 7 on Friday. We're going to move to race number 8. And this is another elimination. Now, this is 2-year-old colts and geldings on the pace. Starts 20-cent pick 6. Now, no guarantee for Friday, but 15% takeout. And we have the record setter here, sipping on Sea Rock, Nick. I'm not sure. Were you watching when he broke the world record there on that random day at the Red Mile?
I was not. I was probably working, and I remember having to edit the story about it. And I think Carl was also put in the headline, and I had to change that because the fastest 2-year-old ever has to be the headline for that story. And I was not watching, but this colt is very sharp. The Red Mile obviously produces some of the fastest miles, so it's not a shock. But he's won 2 in a row now. He lost a couple in the Kentucky Sire Stakes. Now back to form in Ohio. I've included him. I've also included Lou Prince, who again is very sharp. Last time he bravely fought to the end after a pretty hard trip, and he's getting faster with every start. So with the inside draw, I think he'll get kind of the trip he wants, which is maybe to follow a helmet in this one, and coming off the helmet, probably can utilize that closing kick and could very well win the race. And these 2 and 3 to me look like quite a bit better than the rest. So 2-3 for me.
Those two do look tough for sure. Very fast, but sometimes the Red Mile can produce those wicked fast miles, and horses can fall in love with that racetrack. And these horses, now Sippin' on Sea Rock has shipped to other places and was able to win, but with Blueprint, Garnet, he seemed to really like Lexington. Does have wins like a win at the Meadows back in August, but both Burke horses look pretty live going into this elimination.
Definitely they do. And because I've been pretty thin, though, I'm adding a couple horses here to those two. I'm going to throw in Captain Optimistic. He might have been a little bit disappointing in the Metro final, but we also got to realize that was the coming out party for Fallout, right? Fallout was huge in the elimination and even better in the final. He's been fresh in. He had a qualifier. Once again, he's got Dexter Dunn. I think he's going to put him in play from the 8-hole. And then I'm using a horse that's probably going to be a big bomb. And we got to remember, there's 20 races. At some point, there's going to be a horse that's going to win and pay $70, $80, $90. So maybe it'll be World Beater, who I think, Railroad Station's the other one I used, not World Beater. There's the other Burke horse, right? And I think he's improving at the right times. Only missed the board once. I'm just throwing a couple extras in here, looking for a price, really, because, like I said, my ticket's been pretty thin so far. So I'm going to use 2, 3, 4, and 8.
Yeah, the other Burke. The third Ron Burke and David Miller gets back on that one. Cheyenne, you like the Buckeye here?
Yeah, for sure. I do. I did not put him on my ticket, though, just because we did have to get budget friendly. I definitely agree with the party here. I mean, Blueprint has been super in Lexington. It's been very good. Sippin' on Sea Rock was very impressive in the Ohio Sire Stakes final. Just sat that pocket trip with Swingtown, then pulled and then just went on by like I believe he should have done, and he did that. And then to bring up Barnsdale's point with Captain Optimistic, getting Dexter Dunn, I think is going to be great for this horse. He's going to put this horse in play, do that, having that outside post. Not only that, this horse is known to leave. So with that being said, I only went 3 deep here. I went 2, 3, 8, and also to talk about Dexter Dunn. What an incredible year he's had with the 2 dominant mares. Jiggy Jog now retiring, but with Twinbee Joe Fresh and him owning a piece of her, just how incredible his year has been. So I just feel like you couldn't leave that horse out either. So for me, I just went Blueprint, Sippin' on Sea Rock, and Captain Optimistic.
So, Thomas, you spent a fair amount of time at the Red Mile, and I'm sure you had your eye on a lot of these 2-year-olds. Who impressed you the most when it comes to them?
Yeah, Blueprint is much better than Sippin' on a Sea Rock. So beat him 3 times easy. Last time I think he got beat more by Ronnie Wren's drive than he got beat by the horse who beat him. I think Blueprint wins easy, but it is not a pick 4 that's going to pay anything with Rose and Blueprint. But I'm going to try to take stands and get him many times. Okay, can Yannick trick Ronnie? Maybe he can. Then he beats me with Sippin' on a Sea Rock. The problem I have with Captain Optimistic, I was very high on him the first race at Meadowlands after the qualifier. But he's been a little aggressive, a little too hot, and he struggled a little on the turn. So he's losing his gait on especially on the last turn, and you can't do that against Blueprint. It is Ronnie Wren's race to lose.
So Blueprint not quite as speedy early. Do you think that's by design more, or just kind of the way the race is?
I think Ronnie has been trying. He believes so much in this horse, and he's so fast out of a helmet, I think he can leave those horses there when they can kick in 26, 25 quarter. They can leave also, but he has been, he just think he have the best horse. Small fields. The only thing who is that going to beat the Blueprint is if Yannick going to steal this race, but it's Burke horses, so they're going to be close.
Yeah, interesting race here. Certainly could make this. You could get a little separation here in this pick for Friday, depending on who you like. And John Rollis weighing in. This is a good time. So he says, I wonder if fatigue is starting to set in with Blueprint. Eventually, those miles will catch up to you. And I'm not sure. He just got beat a nose last time, John. So that's it's possible, certainly. And but he has gone some wicked miles so far this year, and we just mentioned that talking about the last race. Some of these horses that have these wicked miles all year long and dominate, get to the Breeders' Crown, and sometimes they can, falter or have those things catch up. So that is certainly an interesting point. So we'll move on to the final race we're going to talk about for Friday, and this is a 2-year-old filly trotters here, race number 9. On Friday, Cheyenne, Pink Choo Choo, Our Charm, lots of interesting ones in this race.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of different ways you can go here. But for me, I just went too deep. I went with the 5, Luna Lovegood, hitting the board in 4 out of 6 starts, and only just got beat by a head last week by our Duchess in 152-1. And then I went with Lasting Dream. I'm really curious to see how this filly is going to fare out going from Woodbine up to the Meadowlands. It'll be really interesting to see how she does. And now being able to get away from Maryland and a couple of other horses, I think this will also be beneficial for her too. So for me, I went too deep here. I went with Luna Lovegood and Lasting Dream.
So Thomas, I know you said you didn't think this pick 4 might pay very much, but this could be the race here that could maybe make it pay a little bit. A lot of these horses kind of look similar, maybe no dominant favorites. What say you here?
I'm a big lover in number 7, Lasting Dream. I love the Dream Together was a filly I liked when Luke Black had her. I liked her very much going into the Peaceful Way in Champlain, coming out from a qualifier now. Luke always have his horses very ready when it's starting to be Breeders' Crown, the big races in the end of the year. Louis, I think, going to be aggressive with her. I hope he will, because I think he have a good shot to win this race. Luna Lovegood it's Melander's own horse. They are a breeder, and they own the horse, and she has been amazing for them down there in Kentucky. I've never been like super high on her, but it's maybe more the Gimpansi offsprings. They don't look like flashy, but she's always doing her job, and it's like it is a tricky race this, because it's like What a Bit Hanover is the only horse I don't think have a chance to win. Conversano, I think is a decent horse, but she's just coming out of a qualifier. I like that horse, but does she gonna win the elimination? I don't think so. Pink Choo Choo, I think she should be a little sharper last time. I think she is maybe a little overrated compared to what I think about her. Spicy Nice surprised me last time. She beat Lady Landia. She can definitely be a player in this race. Our Charm, I think she was little weaker last time down in Kentucky after a good trip. I know Scott Sharon have been high on her, but for me, I'm gonna take a shot here and have most of my money on Lasting Dream, because I like the singles and try to get it many times. After that, it's Spicy Nice for me. I think Luna Lovegood will get too much money that it will be for me that I will have too much interest in her.
Nick, Lasting Dream gets back to Louis Waugh here. Raced pretty well in the Mohawk Million. Certainly was racing well at Woodbine. Now ships down here for Blay, who like Thomas says, definitely shows up on the big days. Are you for or against that one?
Well, I'm for her as I'm for all of them. I like Lasting Dream. She's obviously a nice filly, and unfortunately she ran into Maryland in the Mohawk Million. She's obviously a very sharp horse, and I agree with what Thomas says. But I'm also in agreement with what Cheyenne said in race 6, that this is the wild card division. And like Thomas said, all these horses, like you, Thomas, said, there's no one dominant horse in this race. there is a lot of uncertainty. There's some horses coming off layoffs and off qualifiers. There's some horses who just improved in their last start, like What a Bid, although Thomas said he doesn't like that filly. And 6 of 8 horses in this race show breaks, including Luna Lovegood. So Thomas has his method of trying to get it to pay, which is to get it many times, which is certainly a valid methodology. In this case, I'm going with the all in this race and hope to get a price. I may get burnt by Luna Lovegood just or Lasting Dream just being too good, but that's my shot.
Well, John's weighing in again, and he thinks this is the best elimination of the weekend here. Can make a case for 6 of the 8 in here, and that goes a long way with what you're saying here, Nick. Garnet, were you able to maybe shrink it down a little bit, try to make this ticket a little bit less of a cost?
Not so much. I'm 4 deep, but I'm going to have extra tickets on Spicy Nice. I like her the best. She was going very well here in August at this track. She finished second on the Friday before the Hambletonian in that monsoon in the New Jersey Sire Stakes final in 153 flat, the Champagne problems. Then she had some gate issues, and now she's put it all together. Took a lifetime mark of 153. I thought it was a really good race on October 5th. I'm probably going to press her, but I also I think you have to use Lasting Dream. She was really good in the Mohawk Million, and like Nick said, she just ran into Maryland, and there's not much you can do about that. And I'm also using Luna Lovegood. I think she's in good form. And the last one, you know what? I'm going to throw the money man in with the 6. I think he's about 10-1 in the morning line. If I get that far, I don't want to get beat by him slipping up the rail when everybody vacates or something like that. So 3, 5, 6, 7, but I'm going to press with Spicy Nice, the 3, probably on a couple extra tickets.
Yeah, definitely a wide open race. I think that Pink Choo Choo's a little interesting. Might need to class up with some of these, but raced well at Hoosier. Certainly has taken plenty of money. Has a kick. You get Yannick in an elimination. You get an inside post for a horse that's shown speed, and a race that is quite wide open. So I'm definitely interested in that one. And Spicy Nice with that wake up last time. This horse needs to stay flat, obviously, but another one that, one from an outside post at Lexington, and could be, I think, just maybe getting good at the right time, and certainly is in the right hands here. I think probably will be patient and maybe will be the one that makes the last move. So 2 and 3, but you could definitely spread out there in the 9th race on Friday. Okay, so we're going to move on from Friday. So everyone speak now. Any spot plays for Friday that we didn't talk about that you want to throw in quickly? So speak up, Thomas. Anything else on Friday for you?
Fast, I'm going to see Fast. I've seen through yeah. The one horses we have that I believe Little In is in race 4 from our barn, from Lucas Wallen barn. I'm a big believer in Delaney Hanover. I think she is in Little Cheap to be a nomination for a Beatles Crown, and maybe she can be worth some money. If not, I think Super Chapter wins the 11th race, and it would be exciting to see who is Dexter done picking. Super Chapter or Maryland.
Mick, any spot plays for Friday? Something that was not in any of the races that we covered.
I don't. I was unfortunately covering the London sale most of the day and yesterday. Just didn't have time to get to much other than the elims. So no spot plays here for me.
Cheyenne, anything Friday?
I do not have any spot plays either. Busy prepping for our preview show for the Breeders' Crown. So, yeah, nothing for me here.
Garnet, I know you got something for me.
Okay. Hang on. I gotta find the race page again now because I'm all over the place here. Let's take a shot with Amazing Catch to turn the tables on Sig Sauer. He gets Dexter Dunn back, and he was flying in between horse, in the inside there at the end of that race. So maybe he turns the tables at a price.
We're going to move on to Saturday, and we're going to look at picks 6 for Saturday. And the pick six starts in race number 4. Now, there's Breeders' Crown eliminations all day. It starts in race number 1 on Saturday. Usual post time, 6:20 post for that card on Saturday night, and plenty of Breeders' Crown action. We can't cover them all here. We're 30 minutes in already, and we're going to cover just 6 races. Look at that pick 6 for Saturday. We're going to start in race number 4, 3-year-old fillies on the trot. And another wide open race is Cheyenne. Get us started for Saturday.
Yeah, talk about the beginning of this pick 6. I mean, you can give a reason for 6 of these horses. You know what I mean? So it was tough for me. I did boil it down to just 4 horses, or for just 3 horses, actually. I went with Sugar instead. This horse is 12 for 12. I know this horse hasn't seen any really grand circuit racing, but she's just been so dominant on that Ohio circuit. I think this really gives her a chance to show, is she that grand circuit level horse? She just won the Ohio Sire Stakes Championship. She just got the Ohio Triple Crown. It'll be really interesting to see how she fares against these horses. Now, if we're going to circle back to when she was 2, made a miscue, ended up making a break in the Breeders' Crown final, but she did very well in the elimination. So I'm curious to see how she does here. I then moved to Buy Around. I just think, just exactly it just wasn't super in the Kentucky Futurity, but I'm going to give her another chance. I think she has a lot of potential here. And then to round it off, I ended up going with Date Night Hanover. Post 10, I just don't think really helped out that horse at all. We move a little, although it's the 7 hole, we did move a little bit closer, not by much, but we did move a little bit closer to the inside there, which I think will help her out immensely. And then you get Dexter Dunn, which back in the bike as well. So I think that'll also be helpful for her as well. So I just went 3 deep here. I went 1, 4, and 7.
So I'm going to say, John thought that the one elimination was the best of the weekend. I would say that this could be the best elimination of the weekend. Now, the top 5 do make the final, but this is quite the group here. Alyssa Hanover, Buy Around, drawn impression. Yeah, Willie's Home Run comes off a really nice win. Date Night Hanover with an absolutely impossible trip in the Kentucky Futurity, like really Philly Futurity, really no chance whatsoever from the 10 post. French Champagne, a very sharp. So there's going to be some horses that get left out. And then you add Sugar instead in here, and Cheyenne likes this one. That's one that's stepping up at 12 for 12 this year. So she's never lost a race. Garnet, would you agree that this is the best race of the weekend?
It's up there for sure. But I'm going to surprise people maybe and take a single here. I really am a huge fan of Buy Around. She loves this track. Without a doubt, if she's 3rd over instead of 4th over, she wins the Hambletonian Oaks. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that she wins that race if she gets even a slightly better trip. I think the price is going to be good here on her because she finished 4th in the Future. She had no chance in that race the way the trip went. I mean, nobody did chasing Armelina, but this is a different track, right? It's not going to be speed favoring like the Red Mile in the afternoon when it's 100 degrees and the sun's been shining for a week. I really like her a lot, and I think the 4 hole's good for her. I think she's probably going to get 2nd or 3rd over trip. I'm going to single her, and if I can get 5 to 1, I'm probably going to make a pretty big bet on her in this race.
5 to 1, I guess, could be possible, just with the way the money could be spread. I do think that probably Date Night Hanover might have won the Oaks had she not hooked wheels. But Buy Around certainly raced very well in there, even though I did bet Augie's horse in that race and was happy that they both had trouble. Nick, what say you here in a very wide open race?
Yeah, I agree. I think this could very well be one of the best eliminations. Well, it is one of the best, could be the best elimination of the weekend. One of the things about it is if 5 are making it, a couple really, really good horses are going to miss the final, unfortunately. I actually really like Sugar instead, too. I followed her quite a bit. And she's been just super in Ohio the last 2 years. She unfortunately broke in the final of the Breeders' Crown last season, and she's undefeated this year. She's been racing in Ohio, but some of those miles, you read 155 and 2, but on Northfield, which is quite a bit slower this year, that's really good. I can make a case for a bunch of them. I've got 6 horses in here. I can't go through all of them, but I'll just name them. Elise de Hanover, was the favorite in the Oaks, and she's back in sharp form now. Drawn Impression coming back. You never know how sharp they'll be coming off almost a month layoff, but she's really good when she's on her day. 7 Date Night Hanover, like you guys said, she's really good and didn't have much of a shot in the Philly Futurity. And French Champagne won the Elegant Image last time. Just didn't fire, but again, she's a really good filly, and I've got to throw her in. So 1, 3, 4, 5, 7, and 8 for me here.
Well, Thomas, I'm very interested to hear what you have to say about this race, and also maybe your take on that Kentucky Philly Futurity. The way the trip went there, 53 2.5. A lot of those horses really struggled with that. So, where are you at in this race?
Yeah, they did. And with Date Night Hanover, she had some bad helmets, and maybe she didn't kick in as good as I was expecting in Kentucky either in there. It is a wide open race, and I understand that Garnet taking a shot on by around, because it's either be like 5-6 deep or take a shot. Then my favorite is 7 Date Night Hanover. I think it is all about the trip. She definitely gonna be closer this time. Miss LA gonna guns from the 9 hole. I'm gonna see a little more speed in this race than normally in elimination. I think by around, it's all about the setup. Who is she gonna get a helmet from? Because if she's close, she's gonna beat her. Drawn Impression, I'm super high on her. If she can go, she's gonna be maybe one of the horses who maybe can cut the mile. So I'm a little like question mark about the Lista Hanover, because when she has been up against the big girls, I think she struggled a little with when you need to go very, very fast. I think she maybe benefits more of a 5-8 compared to a mile track against the big girls. That's why I have also like Sugar instead. I've seen her in Ohio. She is amazing, but I have a feeling when I see her body, her gait and everything, I think she benefits more from the smaller track than she do of the big tracks. Like I think some of the big girls are going to eat her up when she get there, but she definitely 12 for 12. She need to get some respect. So for me, it's Date Night Hanover by around and drawn Impression. French Champagne, I know she can do it. I lost money on her before, and I will lose money again if French Champagne wins.
Sugar instead, what sort of trip you think that she gets in here, especially from the rail? I'm not sure.
Brett Miller is normally used. He is like a super good driver. He used to drive many years in the Meadowlands and the rail here. I think he's just gonna float out and get a nice trip. I don't know. The rail is not super good. It's better than it was before, but it's not super. But I wouldn't be shocked if she is like sitting, going around the first turn as a third or fourth horse or like that. I think she need a trip to win against these girls.
We're going to go on to race number 5. We probably could talk about that race for quite a long time, but we got a lot to do. So race 5, 3-year-old fillies on the pace. Another really nice race here. Caviar Bell, Geocentric, Pass Line. It's a love thing coming off a couple losses in a row. Nick, it's a love thing. Can she bounce back here?
I think so. I mean, she won the Fan Hanover earlier in the season, and she's been good but not great in those last 2 efforts. But that 149 4 mile, I'll tell you, it's getting cold in Ontario, and that's a pretty good mile against Awesome Platinum, who's also getting good at the right time this time of the year. She's obviously a good filly. Spent most of the season in the top 10 pool. I've got her in my ticket, as well as Rocket Deo, who was just 148 3 last time in a pretty dominant effort in that Glenn Garnsey Memorial, and she won in 50 1 at the Meadowlands earlier this season, and that was about a month ago. She's clearly improved since then. So 6 and 8 are my 2 for this one.
Thomas, Rocket Deo, that race at Lexington really never looked a loser. Now, she just cruised 55 3 on the front and kicked in despite Can I Get a Loop being right on her back. Is she going to continue her dominance here?
I'm a big fan of It's a Love Thing, but it's like if she's starting to get a little tired after the big races she had early this year, she won the post compared to Rockadale, but I'm gonna be very boring, and I'm gonna double my ticket with both of them. It's a Love Thing and Rockadale. I don't see any of the other good fillies can beat them, but I would be boring and double my ticket.
Top 5 advance in this elimination. Garnet, Caviar Bell gets back to the Meadowlands, which we have talked about this before. She likes this racetrack. Now, she has struggled recently, but added Lasix for the qualifier, kicked in 26 and a 52 mile. Could she get back to herself maybe at the right time here?
Maybe. I'm using her. She's 10 of 11 in the exactor at the Meadowlands, right? They're only the only bad race was this August. She kind of broke that streak. Look, if they raced this thing a month ago, It's a Love Thing's 1 to 5, and everybody's singling her, right? But that 6 scratch seemed to take something out of her. And there's something else to consider. She's been first up in 7 of her last 8 miles. The only exclusion was she made a middle move and made the front in Lexington and Kentucky Sire Stakes and won it pretty easily. So I'm thinking, the 6 scratch, she hasn't come back fully from it, I don't think, because if she did, there's no way she loses to Blazing Bell, first of all, who was like 810,000 to 1 that night. And I don't think she loses to Odds on Platinum either. So I'm thinking James tries to trip her out here and find a helmet. And if he does find a good helmet, she can win. The other two, I think you have to use Rocket Deo. She's getting good at the right time. And because I have 3 singles, I'm going to add a price horse in here. Can I get a Loop? Loop seems to pop up when nobody expects it. Her 2 wins this year, I think she was a huge bomb. So I'm going to use her too. I'm going to use 1, 5, 6, and 8 in this race.
Cheyenne, I know your affinity for Can I Get a Loop Loop. Do you like her here?
For me, I actually went against her here. I only went too deep. I went with It's a Love Thing and Rockadeo, and I completely agree with everybody and what they're saying here. Can I Get a Loop Loop? It just seems like she's been playing second fiddle to all these horses all year. So in the Adio Volo, she played second fiddle to My Girl EJ, and then she played second fiddle to Rockadeo in this last start. So for me, I left her off my ticket personally. She may be able to trip it out and be able to get it done that way. I mean, the first 5 do progress into the final. So, as long as she finishes in the top 5, she's making it into the final. Do I necessarily think she's going to win this elimination? I'm going to say no. So I went with It's a Love Thing. I've really liked her. Last 2 starts, she has finished second, but not by much, by a head and by a neck. I don't think that's a world-ending kind of thing. I would be more concerned if she, finished dead last. But no, she finished second, was good, only got beat by a head and by a neck. So I went with It's a Love Thing, Rockadeo. But one horse I do find interesting, although has post 9, is Disney. Finished third at the Red Mile and kicked the last quarter in 25 and 4. She was just really impressive. So I think that's another one. If you wanted to get a price, I would rather go with Disney than Can I Get a Loop Loop. So yeah, that's essentially it. But I only went too deep here. I went pretty boring with just the 6 and the 8.
So I agree with Garnet totally on It's a Love Thing. If this race was a month ago or this summer, this horse would basically rip these horses. That if you looked at earlier races when It's a Love Thing and Odds on Platinum were in together, it was like Odds on Platinum was tied to a pole compared to this horse. And now things have changed, and she's not quite what she was earlier in the season. And she's had a fantastic year, but I just don't think that she is what she was. Now, she might find herself here, maybe shipping down here and be able to just show her class. But this is a really tough race, and these are nice horses. I think, you can spread here. You can use Caviar Bell. You can use, Geocentrics getting Lasix now. And, that I know she's only won 1 time this year, but maybe, that Lasix might suit her. Getting back to the Meadowlands might suit her. It's an elimination race. I like Rockadale. I think she's been very good, but she draws wide, and maybe they're going to save something. So this is a race I do think you can spread out. And I would sort of be against It's a Love thing. I think you could gain some separation in this race. And I do like her. She's exceptional, but I do think that she's not quite what she was. And these are the horses that you have to bet against whenever you have that feeling. So that's just what I think about the 5th on Saturday. Let's go to race number 6. And I don't think there'll be any question where I'll be going in this race, because it's 3-year-old colts and geldings here. And Garnet Nijinsky shows up. Now, I know he was a dud in the jug. Apparently, he choked in that race, and God knows what else happened, but certainly righted himself in that super final, getting Lasix. Now shows up here, and there's no legendary Hanover showing up. Is he a slam dunk?
No, not at all. I didn't like his last race at all. I think
Okay.
If you watch that race, his stablemate Best Night Ever took forever to angle to the outside and was a mile behind him. And if he had 3 or 4 more strides, he would have caught him. I didn't like that race at all from him. I wasn't impressed. I think Mirage Hanover is the now horse. It's the horse I'm going to single. His race in the jug final was one of the best races any horse in North America produced this year. Imagine being first up in the jug, parked a mile, and still finishing second after racing a heat about an hour before that. And then he comes back and, listen, I'm not I don't get fooled by times at the Red Mile, especially on a day where everything's flying, every horse is. But 146 and 3 is 146 and 3 any way you slice it. And I think he's a much sharper horse. I'm completely against Nijinsky in this spot.
Nick, for or against Nijinsky?
Well, as you know, I've been going against him with Legendary Hanover all season. This time I'm throwing it in. I don't necessarily agree with my dad. I don't think it was a stupendous effort last time, but I think it shows that he's right. He's right where you want him after that, almost month-long layoff or 3-week layoff. So I think you got to include him. The rail, like Thomas said earlier, isn't super, but especially in a slightly smaller field, 8 horses, I think, he could get the exact trip he wants coming off a helmet. And last time, yeah, he won. You can say that, Best Night Ever would have caught him, but he still won. He's still looking sharp.
He struggled to beat Ontario breds.
Okay, but he still won, didn't he?
Well, you're saying he looked sharp. I don't think he looked sharp at all. You can say he won and he got the job done, and I don't think he looked sharp at all.
I didn't mean he looked sharp. I meant coming off the qualifier, that's what you want to see, is that he got the job done.
You want to see him finish in 28 and 3?
Wasn't
5,000 claimers do that at Hanover.
Okay, but that's okay. Anyways, I'm going to move on, and I'll say I also like Mirage Hanover. I like him better than Nijinsky in this spot. Like my dad said, Mirage Hanover looks really good right now. But I'm not throwing out Nijinsky because, his first start off the layoff wasn't super. So 1-4 for me here.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on Nijinsky all year, so but I do agree with Garnet and the fact that Mirage Hanover's the now horse, and that was the jug. And this horse's last 2 races are very, very good. And I do think that maybe he will have, well, not even maybe, it's a fact. He will have a pace edge here, and Nijinsky's going to have to track him down. And it's an elimination race. And, top 5 make it here. So that's, and John's weighing in here. He agrees with Garnet. Thomas, settle the argument here.
Mirage Hanover is sharper right now, but Nijinsky is a better horse. So it's like its form going to beat class. And then you have the post, and then you have the elimination. Only the winner need to do work. Yeah, Dexter done. He wins with everything. So I love Nijinsky, but it's a tricky race. I think there is value in, but there is little value in 6 better is nice, but they have to be. If there was more to drive for than just to win, it would be cooler. But I can't settle this down because Mirage Hanover, I think he's been like not close to Nijinsky on a bigger track when they've been up against each other. I don't think he have the same class, but he is on his A game, and Nijinsky is not on his A game. So that's the difference. So, but I'm gonna be boring again. I'm gonna double my money. I'm gonna have some dollars also with Paris is nice. I'm gonna be 1-4-6, but Mirage Hanover is the favorite because Dexter, and he's gonna be in the front.
Cheyenne, I've been on Sweet Beach Life also most of this season, and this one's coming in sharp here for Travis Alexander. Any chance that this one can upset the two likely horses that will take all the money here in race 6?
I feel like with this horse, he's very from talking to Travis and doing the video piece on him, they designed him so he actually is really good at tripping out and being able to go kind of first or second over and being able to win that way, just because he is a little bit temperamental when it comes to behaving on the track and like behind the gate. So there could be a potential chance where Sweet Beach Life comes in and wins. I necessarily don't agree with that. I was really boring. I mean, Nijinsky's been good all year. That Jugalem, it was, just wasn't his best. Obviously, he, was apparently was choked. It just wasn't his best start. When you have that bad of a start from being good all year, you need that time to recoup and recover. So, the horse, although the last quarter wasn't great, it's showing that he's getting his confidence back after having such a bad start. So I'm still going to go with Nijinsky. But Mirage Hanover at the Red Mile was just so impressive. And, 146-3, like Garnet said, 146-3, it was really impressive. And even, went and beat several real nice horses that he's been up against all season. So he's getting sharp at the right time. So I went really simple here. I went with the 1 and the 4.
It's a good race. It's going to be interesting just to see how it shakes out. And obviously, the big money's on the line next week. So we'll see how these horses maybe are, coming into the final. Even Captain's Quarters comes back in there. Another one that has raced pretty well all year, was better in the jug. It was just okay, I thought, at Lexington. But a horse that certainly has some class. So that's a good race number 6 on Saturday. Let's go to race 7 here. 3-year-old fillies on the trot. Cheyenne, Emoji Hanover, Warwi Michelle, Sorry Hanover. We'll ask Thomas about that one. Where'd your eye go in race number 7 on Saturday?
My eye went to Rory Michelle and Armelina. Armelina was just so good in that Kentucky Filly Futurity. I mean, got the right trip, everything worked out, and she's just getting sharp at the right time. I also liked Rory Michelle. She was so impressive on Hambletonian Day, winning that Hambletonian Oaks final. And from talking to Aki, that horse did have throat surgery, and apparently that's really helped this horse. It's really made this horse come into form. That Kentucky Filly Futurity, I think you can kind of throw out that start. Had the 7-hole, just really didn't have the best chance of winning here. So for me, I only went too deep, but there's a lot of horses here that are worthy of consideration. I was always high on Allegiant. I just think, it's having post 9 is really tough for her. But I remember watching her at the Meadows and just how well she moved and how much she just easily glided over the track. Maybe Scott Zeron can trip her out in some way and get the job done. But, for me, I only went too deep here. I went with Rory Michelle and Armelina.
All right, Thomas. Sorry, Hanover. We know that obviously you are hands-on with that one. She needs a bounce back after Lexington and, really tough post there. No chance whatsoever. What do you think about her chances on Saturday?
I don't think they are super high. It's been a disappointed year for Sorry Hanover, 2 year off the year. She is a Warner on a sister to Father Patrick, so maybe that's coming back a little. She has always been a horse that need a trip, but this year she's been winning 2 races, but it's been winning against nothing. So if she wins the elimination, do I gonna be shocked? Yes. Do I gonna be super surprised? Because I know she can do it, but I don't think she will. If she can go to the final, yeah, she can. For me, this is just I'm gonna take a shot in this race and single number 3, Warwi Michelle. Aki did a bad drive in Lexington, terrible drive. Horse get tired. He have won the elimination. He won the post draw, especially when Armelina had post 8. I don't think the Butenschön is going to pull the shoes of Meadowlands. She got a kick down in Lexington. I don't see too much. And we know that when Aki goes to the front of Meadowlands, they don't going to do anything. He's going to steal the next half in 58. So how are they going to beat Rory Michelle when Soten, Banchet, Emoji Hanover, Paulina Hanover, Seabird Stilling, Tandem Hanover, Allegiant from post 9 now, I think. Nah, I take a shot. I think Rory Michelle wins this race.
Now, what's your take? I want your opinion here with her, because that was a tough trip there. I mean, really,
it was just that's like Aki drive sometimes. It's like it was just a terrible drive. So it is like that's the biggest issue when I bet Aki is on a mile track. He is not the best tactic driver. He is maybe the best trainer in America. But when it comes to the front of Meadowlands, that's the time he wins, because they have so much respect for him, because he don't give him the lead and retake. He know they're gonna get parked, so that's why he can get a breather in 58, a middle half. And if he do this time, who's gonna beat him? So, and Todd McCarthy knows that too with Armelinas. It's not like they're gonna gun up there. And I would be surprised if Rory Michelle is not in the lead after the first quarter, and then I think the race is over.
Yeah, I like Rory Michelle, but I'm just concerned, and maybe I can ask Garnet about this a little bit. What after a horse has such a tough trip that they sort of have to come home in 31, parked basically for 53 and 2.5. Do you think, obviously Thomas likes this one, but do you think they always bounce back right away, or do they need one? Do they need to have to recover from such an effort?
Not always. I think it's a valid concern, but I'm going to have a little bit of a different take on that drive. I think by the 10th race, Aki and other drivers in the race realized that it was a massively speed favoring track, and he tried to make the front and he didn't get there. Is it a terrible drive? I don't know that it was a terrible drive. It just didn't work out. He hooked Armelina to a 53 and 2, 122 3/4, and she still jogged. That's how speed favoring it was at that point. So I think she bounces back. I don't think anybody's going to let him have a 58 half. Let's not get crazy here. But
not 58 half, but he maybe can have a middle half after the first quarter through 3/4. It's always Aki stealing easy, maybe 57 2, 57 4, 58.
That's possible. Yeah, that's possible. And I think she's got a big shot in here. I went 3 deep. I used Armelina too, but I also threw in a Emoticon Hanover's house just through Emoji Hanover. I don't think she's fulfilled her full potential yet. And if Louis leaves with her and hides maybe second, third on the rail and gets some room in the stretch, maybe she scores an upset at $20 or so, because I think she's going to be around 8-9 to 1. So I'm going to go 3 deep, but I agree with Thomas. I like Rory Michelle the best. I think she bounces back, and for me that race is a throw-out. Like I said, I think Aki made a decision that he was going to try and make the front no matter what, and he got hung in 53 and 2. Whoever gets hung in 53 and 2 in a race for 3-year-old fillies? Happened. You move on. I think she gets a much better trip here.
Johnny Rawls weighing in here, and he said that there will be a trainer change here for Allegiant for Saturday. And I do believe he mentioned it's going to be Linda Toscano now gets Allegiant, a horse that certainly has raced very well at Lexington, but does have a win this year at the Meadowlands in 51, and looks like 51 and 4. So certainly likes this racetrack. Tough post. Nick, any thoughts? I know I didn't prep you for this, but with that trainer change, does that help you like Allegiant a little bit?
That's interesting. Not too much. I think Vernon Beachy is a somewhat accomplished trainer in and of himself. Linda Toscano, of course, is a Hall of Famer. But I think how much can you really improve a horse to be beating the types like Armelina and Rory Michelle in a week? Linda Toscano, maybe she can do it, but that doesn't change my mind in going with Rory Michelle and Armelina, mostly for the reasons that have been discussed. I do like Rory Michelle better. But can Armelina beat her from the pocket or off a helmet? I don't see why not. She was really good in the Philly Futurity, so I think I got to go with those two.
It's a good race. I do think I agree with Thomas also. I think Rory Michelle, especially on this racetrack, on this post, and Armelina having that perfect trip at Lexington. A lot of money's going to find her. I think Warmer Michelle is the one I would want in here also. But if she doesn't quite bounce back, this race could get chaotic really quickly. And top 5 finish, go to the final here. This could be another race you might want to spread out, especially if you don't necessarily trust the favorite, because I think it's a scramble if you look beyond those two. And this could be that race, Garnet, that maybe turns out that $50, $60, $70 winner, because it's just beyond those two. Really, it could be any of them. So that's certainly an interesting race for Saturday, race number 7. 2 left, and we're doing pretty well. We just crossed an hour. Race number 8, open pace here Saturday night. And no doubt, again, who I will be interested in this race because Don Tiger has shipped Charlie May shop to face By the Missile, who right now, I think, Nick, has really maybe found himself, was dominant at Lexington from the 10 post. Is he back?
That's just about my opinion. I think, as it goes for eliminations, sometimes they don't want to, take a lot out of them. But if you think you have the best horse in the division, as I'm sure Burke probably thinks he does at the moment, and I think he does, you are going to just want to put him on the front. And I think Yannick's obviously capable of getting him there, especially because it's post 8 and not post 10, which is, significantly, it's a somewhat significant move in. So I'm liking By the Missile from the outside post. I think he probably just, gets there, and he's looking sharper every week since he's come back. And so to answer your question, yes, I think he's back, and I'm singling him here.
Yeah, he looks tough. I mean, that race at Hoosier, I thought was really sneaky good, but he certainly can't draw very well because he's had the 9, the 10 in the last 2. Now he ends up with this outside post here. Cheyenne, I know you're a big Charlie May fan, and but you're a By the Missile fan also. Where'd you end up here in race 8? And Cheyenne muted herself. Please unmute yourself.
Oh, thank you. Oopsies. Anyway, back to what I was saying before is I think By the Missile's back. He's in top form. He's back to his old self. I definitely think he's got a shot of winning here, jogging with ease. Honestly, I do love Charlie May. I do think he's got, how many times has he gotten post 7? We're talking like, this is going to be the 5th time he's gotten post 7. I just feel like the post position gods aren't in his favor either, as well as By the Missile. And then too, it's Duncan. I like, he can be sneaky. He was sneaky in, I believe it was might have been the Dan Pat. I'm not 100% sure. At Hoosier, he was sneaky and came home in at 20-1. He might be sneaky in here. But for me, I just singled. I just went with By the Missile.
Garnet, it's my show in here. I know we're both a fan of that one. Vukofalis, I do think races better at the Meadowlands than anywhere else, but can anyone touch the Missile here?
I don't think so. I think when he's on his game, he dominates these horses. Like the Breeders' Cup, the Breeders' Crown, at Hoosier last year in the mud, Yannick drove him very aggressively, purposely to give Tattoo Artist a bad trip, right? And that paid off. And I'm not sure why he started so late this year, but at this point, I don't care, because when he's on, and it looks like he's back. And I'm singling him. A point of interest that probably nobody cares about other than me, Charlie May's half-brother, Pelican Al, that I own a piece of, had some issues early, but he's training back down, and you might see him on the racetrack in the next month or 2.
That's awesome to hear, and I can't wait to see that. And obviously, I'm a big fan of Charlie. I was actually down at the Meadows, and that was a tough trip there on September 28th. Really, didn't have much of a chance the way the race shaped, and the winner got the jump on him. Shipped up to Plain Ridge and got a nice win. So 2 wins this season, but he certainly loves this racetrack. The fact that Don shipped here, I do think it is interesting. I do think that he's going to make the final. I really do. And he raced well in the elimination last year for the Breeders' Crown. Thomas, again, I ask, are you trying to beat the Missile here?
No, I think with just 8 horses and Yannick aggressive, can do what he wants with By the Missile, and it's hard for me to see who is going to beat him. Like we know, Charlie May pays good and race good up Meadowlands, so Do I gonna get shocked if Charlie May sit close to buy the missile and can beat him? No. So maybe I'm gonna have some sort of dollars on Charlie May too. It's my show. We know what he can do when he's on his A game. Wukafalas is always up there, but it is by the missile with Yannick in the lead, and when he's getting back now after that confidence builder at Lexington winning there, I think it is Yannick's elimination to win.
One horse that raced pretty well, I thought, last time was Coach Stefanos. If you look back at that Hoosier race, that's Indiana Sire Stakes, but ran to Little Rocket Man there. We know how well he's raced all year long. This horse made a big move on the turn in that spot and ended up getting tired a little bit. The fact that they ship up here to race in the Breeders' Crown, and this horse got very good last year at the end of the year. He's capable of big kicks. If you look back, 25-1 back on October the 4th. So I do think he's interesting for maybe tries and supers. Maybe could even sneak into the exacta depending on how the race goes. So don't sleep on Coach Stefanos there in race number 8 Saturday night. Okay, so we're going to finish up here for this show, for the eliminations here, and this pick 6 for Saturday. Race number 9, 3-year-old Colts and Geldings on the trot. And this is the Glamour boys here. You got Carl back. You have Tony Adams coming out of that wicked pace with Highland Kismet. How about Highland Kismet, Thomas? Gets a driver switch here. What say you after that Kentucky Futurity pace in 52-4?
I was not shocked. I have felt between the lines when I've heard Bob McClure when he's been interviewing. It's been a little back and forth, equipment changes that they haven't been agreeing on, and bum. On Highland Kismet, Tim Tetrick may be the perfect driver, I think, for Highland. I think he fits Timmy's driving style perfect. He don't look like a grabby horse. Close bridle, you can drive him like a race car. Timmy loves those horses, and yeah, he got tired after, was it 52-3 to the half with Tony Adams running off in the lead, and Bob was in the wrong position. That, in my opinion, he sometimes comes too often in the big races when he's up against the big boys. I think Highland Kismet bounced back because, okay, Vic Zelensky, post 1, been impressing down on Red Mile when they pulled the hind shoes, did some equipment changes. He won race at the Poconos, he won races at Red Mile. I'm seeing him at the Meadowlands surface before. Yeah, I'm very, very skeptic. You don't gonna get $1 from me. Greenspan, average. I like Private Access, but do I think you win the Breeders' Crown elimination? No. Tony Adams, I think maybe bounce back, and I love that horse. Can win, I wouldn't be surprised. Carl, I was a little surprised that he raced in the Breeders' Crown after he got syndicated and much money on the table for Diamond Creek. He had nothing to benefit of winning Breeders' Crown. He can only lose respect on his name and his name in the breeding business if we do a bad performance. Maybe Yannick going to be aggressive and try to go to the front with Carl, but I think he has been a little tired since the week before the Hambo, and we have seen those the last couple of races. He haven't been the same. He won the Hambo with a perfect trip, but many other horses with little more luck that will beat them. I'm super high on Highland Kismet, and when I can get Tim Tetrick in the bike on a horse like that, and I think I can get little value, I'm to the window.
So Garnet, obviously we won't see a super fast pace in here like they did at Lexington for the same type of horses. You see, Carl, he's made $1 million the last 2 years in a row, so almost unheard of in harness racing. Back to the Meadowlands, do you think he gets it done, or are you looking elsewhere?
No, I like Highland Kismet. I'm going to disagree that Bob was in the wrong spot. By the 12th race, everybody knew you wanted to be up front. Maybe Dexter Dunn was in the wrong spot, putting a horse in the front that got distanced. And Bob had no chance but to pull. If he sits behind Dexter, what does he get? Extra distance? Does he lose by half a racetrack? That being said, Tim Tetrick is an improvement over all but maybe 1-2 drivers in the entire sport. So, I think you got to respect that. I think Highland Kismet bounces back. I like Private Access a bit. He's a horse I've always liked. He's only 1 for 11 this year, but Luke Blaze had great success at the Meadowlands. And I'm kind of against Carl here. I mean, he couldn't keep up to Sig Sauer. He had the best trip of anybody in that race by far. And he could do no better than 5th. I think he's getting a little bit tired at this stage. I'm going to try to beat him. I think he still takes money because he always does. I'm going to use Highland Kismet with Timmy, and I'm going to throw Private Access in there for a little bit of a bomb.
Cheyenne, I know that you followed these horses all year long. You staying with Carl here? What do you feel about this 9th race?
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Highland Kismet. And go. I just can't. I can't go with Carl. I just feel like he's kind of getting tired. And he honestly on Kentucky Futurity Day, he didn't even look good warming up. He just didn't look right. Maybe he bounces back here. I don't think having the 11 hole was an advantage for this horse at all, but he's just been super all year. He's basically been one of the only 2-year-olds to have $1 million year, and then has yet another $1 million year as a 3-year-old. So for me, I'm going to try him again, but I'm going to throw in Private Access as well as Highland Kismet. Highland Kismet was really impressive, I think, in the Hambletonian, and I was just amazed by how well he raced. He's had a little bit of trouble. I mean, those hot fractions and that Kentucky Futurity, I don't think helped him at all. But doing the driver change, like everyone else has said, with Tim Tetrick may help this horse be a different change of scenery. So for me, I'm going to try Carl again because, who knows? He might trip it out. He might be able to get it done and show that he's back. But I'm not 100% certain on him. But I did throw him in my ticket just to see how he does. So I only went 3 deep here. I went 3, 5, and 8.
Well, Nick, we saved you for last year because you have your biggest fans watching. So that's key. Maybe he wants to know who's going to win the 9th.
I made the mistake of sharing the stream link in a group chat, so that's what I get for that. I actually disagree with a large section of the table here. I'm not as low as on Carl as it seems everyone else is.
It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to be wrong.
I've actually been pretty low on Carl for about a month now. I've had him in, I think, 7th through 9th in my top 10 poll for at least the last few weeks, even when people were still putting him first. But I actually don't think his race in the Futurity was that bad. He never saw a pylon. He was out and advancing in a really fast middle half, and he only lost by 4 lengths, and he didn't quit. I mean, it wasn't his best effort. It's not an incredibly promising performance, but earlier in the card, we were all discussing and we thought the lead was the best trip. And now people are saying he got the best trip. And I don't think it was. Like my dad said a bunch of times, it's a really speed favoring track. And he was having to come off a helmet. So I'm not going to throw him out. I don't necessarily buy fatigue either. I think, he had almost a month off between starts, between that last start. And, he's still Carl. He's still the Hambletonian champ, even though he did get the best trip. I do like Highland Kismet as well. I think I like him a little bit more. He was right in the firing line of that, of the whole schlemazel in the Futurity. But he won the Bluegrass convincingly, and he could very well have won the Hambo, as my dad will tell you many times. So I'm going 4 and 8 in here, and I wouldn't be shocked at all if Carl was good.
It's gotta remember too, elimination race here. So top 5 advance to the final. Highland Kismet isn't drawn very well here. He's stuck out in the 8 hole. I really doubt that they're going to blast off from the 8 hole from this horse. And when Tetrick gets on, especially given that last race, maybe they sit back and just make the final here. The real money's on the line next week. I'm against him here. I do think that maybe the final might be the time to take him, but I do think Tony Adams is a horse that certainly, with this post and his speed, his affinity for the racetrack, could end up front and dominating this race. So I want him, and I think that you can have some value here with the Carls in the races, with Kismet's in the races. I do think Vic Selinsky is certainly one that is a bit of an enigma here, really. I mean, is very fast, was very good in Kentucky. The rail could be an undoing here, but it's interesting that they ship up and show up here coming off that 50-1 mile on Kentucky Futurity Day. So he needs to class up, but he's certainly fast, and that makes him interesting to me, especially in an elimination race. So I do think that this is a good race to maybe take a shot against Kismet, knowing that the real time is next week. So especially the where he's drawn, and we're getting some Murray Higgs agrees with me, so I like that. And Murray also, he was interested earlier in Captain's Quarters, so I didn't really put that on, but he likes that one. And we thank him for contributing to the show. Okay, I'm going to give you guys, I'm not, putting you on the spot now, so you should know what the next question is, and that is, we have other Breeders' Crown races going on Saturday. Anything else you saw, Nick? We'll give you a pass because you were doing work all day, but Garnet,
I got one.
You definitely have something for. Oh, you got one. So give us one here Saturday for spot plays for Saturday night.
I am going to take a shot, and I'm hoping to get a pretty good price in the first race, the 3-year-old Philly Pace with Collusion Hanover, who won the grassroots final in Ontario, which in itself does not make you a Breeders' Crown contender, but came back a couple weeks later and was pretty solid in the super final. She faced Odds On Platinum and It's a Love Thing and was only 2.5 lengths off the win in that one. She set the pace, a 25-4 first quarter and a 54-1 half. Louis can get one home. And I think especially in an elimination that I don't think looks so strong, I think this is one you can take a shot on. And I think a lot of people won't give her a lot of credit because they'll see grassroots in the program. That last effort will stick out. But if I can get something like 10-1, I think she's worth a shot.
Garnet, spot play Saturday night.
Sure. Give me number 3, Rock and Roll Runa in race 10, driven by probably the most underrated driver in the world, Mark McDonald. I think the place to be in this race is going to be following Ruthless Hanover. We know where he's going to be. And I think Mark Mack's going to fire out of there and get the pocket. And, he took his lifetime mark, 147-3 here on Hambo Day in the McKee Memorial at 58-1. And, maybe I can get 18-1 on him this time. It's a shorter field, but that's where I'm going to go.
Well, for me, my spot play will come race number 11. Sylvia Hanover goes against Twinbee Joe Fresh. Twinbee Joe Fresh draws the 10 post. Again, elimination race. She's been crushing everything all year long, but Sylvia's getting better here. And McClure, I think, is going to have a little bit of a bone to pick with everybody here. And I do think he could have something to prove. He certainly drives Sylvia well enough, gets a post edge. I do think that she's very good whenever she's on. And I like that effort last time there at Lexington. Was able to come from off the pace to win. I think she's very interesting in race number 11. Thomas, give us a spot play for Saturday night.
I think Ruthless Hanover are going to gun out and just catch me if you can. And I don't think anybody's catching him. So Ruthless Hanover, wire to wire with the Orange Crush.
Cheyenne, finish us up here. I know you got something for us for Saturday.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So I'm going to go back to that pick 6. I'm going to go, but my spot play here is going to be with race 4. It's going to be number 1. It's going to be Sugar instead. I really like her. She's 12 for 12. We've talked about her before. So that's my spot play. I hope she gets the job done and we go for a price.
Well, Breeders' Crown eliminations, full swing Friday afternoon racing. So if you tune in Friday evening looking for the races, you're going to miss them. You need to look Friday afternoon for those early Breeders' Crown eliminations. Saturday, typical post time, 6:20. We'd like to thank Hamiltonian Society for sponsoring these segments. Join us next week, and might be a little bit of a different panel. Maybe Ray Cotullo will be back from his tooth surgery. Maybe Edison can find some time for us with his duties at Yonkers and NASA and wherever else he's working these days. And some other people will show up for those Breeders' Crown finals. We'd like to thank these guys, Thomas, Nick, Cheyenne, Garnet. Fantastic, I think, analysis for these races. Jump in. This is a great time of year. These are the best horses. So get in on the Breeders' Crown Friday and Saturday. Contest Jockey, wanted to tell everybody, guess what? ContestJockey.com has a huge contest for Breeders' Crown. So we're going to have maybe a little contest this weekend for the eliminations on Saturday, but next week, big prizes. So go to ContestJockey.com, jump in, free contest for Breeders' Crown next weekend, and that's going to be fantastic. We'll see you guys next time. Enjoy the Breeders' Crown eliminations. We'll be back next week.